YB stays on your neck.
Will Anthony Joshua ever fight Fury or Wilder?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's like asking will a certain football team play another certain football team. Of course, we're in the same division, we're in the same era, we have to fight each other. And then we're all big draws in the heavyweight division, so it'll be massive. I'd love to fight Fury, I'd love to fight Wilder, I'm fighting Andy Ruiz next.
Yeah.
And the list goes on. There's so many out there that I'd love to compete with.
If you had to pick one, who would you rather fight out of the two? Because they're fights that all the boxing fans want to see.
I always change
for a
it,
name,
but right now I'll say Fury in Wembley because it's like the best of Britain.
That's the dream fight for you?
Yeah, one of them, yeah. But if right now you're asking me, Tyson Fury, the best of Britain, it is massive, I think. I think that's a massive fight.
Yo, my dons, make sure you hit that like button, comment, subscribe, and obviously hit the bell for notifications. So you just saw a short clip there from one of Sky Sports' recent videos. You'll also see some writing on your screen now, which is more of what AJ had to say about the upcoming fight with Deontay Wilder and Pillow Fist Fury. Essentially, he says, we have to fight. I'd love to fight Wilder. I'd love to fight Fury. I'm fighting Ruiz Jr. next. The list goes on. He then goes on to say, but asked what was his ideal fight be? I always change it, but right now, I'd say Fury at Wembley, the best of Britain. It's a massive fight. And it's funny, you know, before I go on with what AJ had to say, I want to say this. Listen, AJ saw that last fight. Listen, I've spoken to people within the camp exclusively. I can now break proprietarily, yeah? You ain't getting it. You can go on Hatman's if you want, but what Hatman would tell you is what he think. I'm telling you what the camp said, no doubt. They saw Fury versus Wallin, and AJ is licking his chops. Licking them. He was licking his chops before, but he's licking them even more now. Fury is finished. In fact, you know what? You know me, I was the one calling for this AJ versus Fury fight for the longest time. I don't even want to see that fight anymore. For me, before it was like 90-10, AJ versus Fury sort of thing. Now it's 100-0. That's how it is for me. There's no intrigue whatsoever for now, because I've just seen him go life and death. Do you understand that? Life and death with Otto Wallin. Imagine what AJ would have done to him that night. And I'm telling you now, how these things work. Look at De Gale. De Gale looked awful against Truax. And now he looked awful again, even worse against Uwank. Same as Furman. Furman will be the same. Furman looked awful against Pacquiao. When you're shot, it gets worse. It progresses. And the thing is, being shot is like trying to run in custard. The more you fight it, it's like, I remember watching this program the other day about people being stuck in sand, in sinking sand. And they say, don't fight it, because the more you fight it, the harder you try. The harder you try and fight being shot, the harder you try and escape quicksand, the further you just fall down into a hole. That's what being shot means. It means you're completely mentally and physically cooked. All the muscle fibers have just completely broken down. Yeah? That's what's happened to Fury. He's done now. He's finished. Finitoed. Yeah? 100%. AJ will march, and this is the worst thing for me. Before, I'd probably sit here and say, well, I'm not sure if AJ can outbox Fury. AJ will beat Fury with a jab now. That's all it will take. A stiff jab in his face, because Fury jab ain't got no power. He's got nothing to offer. Literally nothing to offer. His head don't move now. Head don't move, feet don't move. No power in his shots. That's not changed. That's been consistent, to be fair to him. He's consistently had no power at all. No power, no speed. He's just finished. I'm sorry, he's finished. I know there's a lot of people hoping that, oh, YB, it's because he couldn't get for the fight. Well, if Fury's problems were because he couldn't get for the fight, why was he having warm-up fights for? Don't come and tell me, oh, YB, it's not because he's shot, it's because he couldn't get for small fights. No one else, he was the one who requested small fights. He's the one who requested warm-up fights. If his problem was I can only get up for big fights, well, why didn't you go and fight Wilder in the rematch immediately then? Don't contradict yourself, people. Be consistent. He's shot. He thought it was a smart idea. He actually I've spoken to people within the camp. To be fair to Fury, he actually genuinely thought, you know what, I'll have some warm-up fights and I'll become better. Two twos. He actually found out he's now finished. He's shot. The physician YB, Dr. YB, has diagnosed him with shotitis. De Gale. He's got stage 4 De Gale now. That's that. People can sit here and, oh, YB, you've got great banter. Nothing to do with banter. It's to do with cold, hard fact. Shot. Anyway, let's crack on with what else AJ had to say. So where were we? So he just finished saying his ideal fight would be Fury at Wembley, best of Britain. It's a massive fight. Asked how likely that would be to happening, Joshua told his fans, "You will see it." He then goes on to say, asked if he would eventually fight Fury and Wilder, AJ said yes, 100%. That's like asking if a certain football team will play another football team. Of course, we're in the same division, same era, we have to fight each other. We're all big draws in the heavyweight division, so it'd be massive. I'd love to fight Deontay, I'd love to fight Pillow Fist, I'm fighting Ruiz Jr. next, the list goes on. There's so many out there that I'd love to compete with. And that's the mindset I hope AJ really takes from this. The amount of money, I can only imagine the amount of money and all the other trappings of what he's going through. But ultimately, hopefully it comes down to competition and wanting to prove you're the best. Or not even, you know what, it might not even be about wanting to prove you're the best. Maybe it's just about, some people I talk to, they just love competing. They love to get in and get stuck in. So I really hope that attitude, whether he's still got it or whether he hasn't lost it, either way, I hope the attitude is in there somewhere, or still in there, or whatever. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I hope that attitude's present. That competitive, I just want to get in there, have a go. If I lose, if I win, whatever, get stuck in. That's what counts. It's not about whether you win or lose. It's about, and I can sit here, I ain't never boxed before, so to take my words with a pinch of salt and that, but as a speculator, what sounds good to me is get stuck in, and you can't argue with that. What you can argue with is, oh well, I didn't really want to get clipped tonight. Oh, I didn't really want to get stuck in. I didn't really want to, like, if you give it one of them Wallin performances versus Fury, Wallin didn't want to get stuck in. He was throwing half of the heavyweight average punches. He didn't want to get stuck in. He didn't want to earn it. He wanted to nick it on the car. He wanted to nick it by the doctor stopping it. He didn't want to get in there and say, you know what, Fury, rather than throwing the 25 punches around I've thrown, I'm going to throw 3 times more or 2 times more than I normally throw, because I really want this. That's the attitude every person at the top level should go into the fight with. Now, if you go in with that attitude and you lose, then you can come out and say no problem. If you go in there and you're scared to get touched and you're fanning around, and that's why I rate Chisora. Like I said before, though, let me say this: Chisora's not bottled it, but Chisora's lost to bums before. But to be fair to Chisora, whenever it's been a make or break moment, he has got stuck in. He has put his chin on the line, and that's something that's really commendable in that sense. The Dillian White was a classic moment. He was up on the cards, and he said, he thought he was down, and he said, you know what? It's going to be my chin or his, and he got stuck in, and he got clipped. But listen, who can knock that? I can't. You never heard a YB knocking that. I rate that a lot. Because many fighters wouldn't do that. Many fighters will be down to the cards and they'll start sulking. And like as an example, Guillermo Rigondeaux. The dude has Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko. The dude has 2 Olympic gold medals, and he got in there, got schooled for 6 rounds. Oh my hand! Oh my hand! I'm trying to think of the voice. I can't. He started crying about, oh, I broke my hand. You didn't even throw no punches, you muppet, but you broke your hand. You bottled it. And like I said before, I've actually got nothing wrong with people bottling it, by the way. If someone bottles it and comes out and says, listen, I got schooled, I didn't like getting hit, I'm good at giving it out, I'm not so good at taking it, who can argue with that? And my problem is, you got schooled, you quit, yeah? You know Maschenko'd, but now you want to cry about, oh no, it wasn't the fact I got schooled, it was the fact that, no, you got schooled, yeah? You didn't have a broken hand, you had a broken heart and a broken head, yeah? You will got broken. Simple as that, Guillermo, yeah? El Jacal, El Quital, that's what your name is. Anyway, listen. In terms of what AJ's saying here, I want to see the Wembley fight. Listen, before I wanted to see AJ versus Fury as a competitive, like, as being someone who enjoyed watching boxing, I was curious to see how it played out. Now, I want to see, never mind 90,000, I will pack as many people into there as possible to see Fury fall like a tree, timber. That's how it will go down as well. And the thing is, the minute when AJ clips Fury, it's going to be such a weird moment, because all of a sudden the crowd's going to go silent, and you could almost hear a pin drop. But instead of hearing a pin drop, you're going to hear Fury just collapse on the floor. That's what you're going to hear, and everyone's going to be like, with their mouth, all the Fury fans are going to be like, all the Fury, you'll hear all the Fury fans like, oh, I must hide from the white beak. That's what's happening, yeah? All the Fury, and in fact, no, scrap all that. All the Fury fans you'll see online like, oh yeah, AJ just knocked him out, yeah, pillow fist. That's what they'll do. I can tell you now. Let me tell everyone now. All the Fury fans that are out there now, when Fury falls at Wembley, they will all become, you'll be like, what happened to all them Fury fans? They will all become instant AJ fans, 100%. You'll never see a Fury fan putting his hands up and saying, you know what? My dude didn't box no one's head off. My dude ain't got no power. My dude was shot. The YB was right. Fury fans will never, same as Wilder fans to be fair, they'll never give no one credit. AJ fans will. I will. If Fury by the luck of God, not even by luck. Listen, I'll say this now. Andy Ruiz, in my opinion, had a good performance, but it was lucky to some extent. It was lucky that AJ couldn't get the Wilder or Fury fight, because if he could get the Wilder or Fury fight, he'd have fought them and not have to set up the $100 million turkey. My point is, that was a lucky fight. I'm telling you now, Fury fans, you will never get me saying Fury had a lucky fight. There's not one chance on God's green earth that, never mind setup, never mind anything else. There's no way Fury would have the power for it. Ruiz, not neither does Ruiz, to be honest. AJ just kind of got bored of getting put down, if the truth be known. Because if it's what I don't get. AJ was begging. Listen, AJ was begging on June 1st, 2019. AJ was begging to be put out of his misery. How much time did you need, Ruiz? Seriously, the man was begging for it. The man was begging for a half-sharp right hand to put him out of his misery. You couldn't muster it. You couldn't muster up the snap. That's what you couldn't do. Yeah. So what is everyone getting gassed about Ruiz's power? Where was the power? Never mind power. Watch that AJ performance. You tell me AJ wasn't begging for a half decent right hand that whole night. Couldn't muster it. And with that in mind, Ruiz barely pulled it off. By the luck of God, he pulled it off. Not even luck of God. By throwing millions of punches, he pulled it off. Fury could never pull that shot off. Do you understand that? Could never. He hasn't got it in him. Physically hasn't. Anyway, listen. Never mind Wilder, never mind Fury. For me, it's all about Ruiz. None of this Fury and Wilder don't really matter until Ruiz is done, because if Ruiz was to pull off his 5% chance, I guess they probably could milk a Fury fight, but it won't be the same. If I'm honest, it won't be the same. It's got to be, it just won't be the same. Although I'll take it though. If he lost to Ruiz, I'd still like to see him whoop Fury, because that's for sure. Like I said, Fury ain't got nothing to offer at this point. And even Wilder, I'd take at least if AJ did lose to Ruiz, the Wilder fight would still be 50-50 for me, because I know that all AJ's got to do for that fight is learn how I don't think Rob McCracken could train him. I don't think Rob McCracken's got the IQ to train him for this. But all I'm saying is, all that AJ's got to do is literally work on defending a jab, using whatever methods he needs to use. In fact, he should really employ a number of methods, or number two, avoiding the right hand. And I make it sound easy, but that's pretty much, when you think about the boxing, a jab and a right hand is probably more than half of it. So I've made it, it's not as easy as that. But listen, Wilder's sloppy. All he's got to do is tuck up tight for the right hand and catch. I've seen him do it before. I don't know what's happened in the last 3 years. His timing, his counter punch, he's completely disappeared. But all I know is AJ versus Charles Martin. Charles Martin steps in with a jab, and AJ times it perfectly, dings a right hand and catches him square on the side of his button, perfectly, chips the end of his chin. My man didn't know nothing about it, completely dazzled his senses, yeah? He hit him with a Ghostbuster. That's what AJ needs to be working on. I don't understand it. How can my man be counter-punching, be timing people 3 years ago, and now, when was the last time you saw AJ time someone? Seriously, when was the last time you've seen AJ set something up? In Ruiz, he was bending his legs and just winging big hooks and big shots. The finesse is gone, I think, for me anyway. Well, I haven't seen it in a while. Maybe if I'm lying, show me the finesse. I've seen too. Yeah, it's all. McCracken's no good. Bottom line. Anyway, listen. This for me is good though, in as much as I made a video the other day where I was skeptical because Eddie Hearn was doing his promotional business, talking about, AJ's might retire. He's obviously trying to keep the name out there. This is going to be their big fight, so he's trying to keep the name buzzing. I get that, and the reason I say that is because I'm glad that AJ's come out in the last day or whatever, and now said that he's looking. This is what I mentioned. I mentioned that it's worrying that he's talking about retirement. I'd rather see him talking. This is actually kind of classic. I said this. Actually, you might. Yeah, I said this a day or two ago that I'd much rather than talking about retirement, I'd much rather see AJ talking about Fury and Wilder fights, because that tells me he's got some intention on staying. So the fact that's happened, I am very glad that this is the case, because people might say, he's getting distracted, but I don't really look into that. I look into the fact that, never mind Ruiz, the fact that he's planning on fighting Wilder and Fury still, that tells me he's not looking at no retirement. He's looking at getting stuck in, and rightly so. Because there's no, until you get to 35, 34 at least, there's no point throwing it up. It's just free cash to be had. Anyway, I'll be intrigued to see what you might think.